second presentation will be performed by Dr. Ramon Ribera with the article Smart Contradictions, the Politics of Making Barcelona a Self-Sufficient City.
Well, thank you very much for inviting us to present and being here. I hope I keep on 10 minutes. This is a paper that I co-write with Hugo, that you already know him. He started talking about 1936. Now we will move to 2013-14 with a short stop in 1984 and possibly coming back to 1930s at the end. Okay, this paper is about the smart city. I think that all of you have heard about a smart city. All the cities in the world want to be smart, but what is a smart city? A smart city, in the most accepted definition, is when investments in human and social capital and traditional and modern communication infrastructures fuel sustainable economic development and a high quality of life with a wise management of natural resources through participatory governance. Actually, this is very powerful. This is a very win-win solution. You get new technology and you get better quality of life, economic development, and a participatory governance. What else do you want as a city manager? In fact, it's so powerful, this idea, that we don't only find all the cities in the world trying to be smart, but we find that the jungle wants to be smart, like the smart city of Liachai in the Ecuadorian jungle. The desert wants to be smart, like Masdar in the Emirates, or even in the Antarctica there is a plan of city. In the Antarctica there is a plan of a smart city. I mean, it's basically the urban flavor of the month in urban strategies. And then, as so popular it is, there is a lot of literature trying to understand the smart city, but this literature is completely split. And these two books epitomize the two positions. On the one hand, you have people like Townsend and many others that thinks that this is an utopian vision of the city, that the definition that I put at the beginning is what really delivers a smart city. On the other hand, people like Adam Greenfield in LSE, or a lot of other people, says it's not that such a bad thing. On the best scenario, they say the smart city is only an empty discourse. In the worst scenario, it's an Orwellian dystopian scenario of disciplining the citizens, surveillance, and externalization of public services towards private companies and taking the control from citizens. So we thought, what is really the smart city? We didn't want to take sides, and then what we said is start to ask ourselves, it is the smart city a radical shift, or is all wine in new bottles? Is empowering citizens, as once and some says, or is a disciplinary technology? Then our goal was, and taking one of the fundamental things that the smart city literature says, or projects, that is environmentally sustainable, but actually there is no much about the research on sustainability in the smart city, to ask these questions, how? With an urban political ecology approach that I won't talk about it, and where? It's basically one of the most famous smart cities in the world, Barcelona. That for our purpose, it had another thing that was interesting, because the branch or the kind of Barcelona smart city that is being developed is a self-sufficient city. In other words, one that it bases all the project in self-sustainability of the city. And as you can see here, and this is based on the work of the head architect of Barcelona, Vicent Guallart, and his team in IAC in Barcelona, they have devised the city from nature to people, infrastructures, and interactions, like understanding the city like it is an internet, the internet of cities. Basically, they say that you should organize the city like internet, and technology then, and software and protocols play a critical role, and we have analyzed that. But not only that, and not only keeping issues on blueprints or discourses, we have gone to the actual existing smart city at different scales. First, to the building scale, and I think that you might know this building a little bit from inside. Second, we went to a bigger scale, the self-sufficient superblock. Third, we went to the Fab Labs, civic centers, but okay, you might say this is very small. No, we look at the interaction between civic centers, Fab Labs, and the district level. And last but not least, we cross, for example, that is a network. This is the 22 ad hit and cold network. Actually, in our buildings in UOC in Poblano, all the central heating or the air conditioning is going through this network. And these are the 4 examples of the smart city that we look at it. In sum, and in order not to bore you, what we find is that, yes, Barcelona has what we call a smart sustainability fix, meaning it's a way of solving economic, social, and environmental problems, and in solving, allowing Barcelona to try to be a competitive city in the world. However, we also find contradictions. And I will name just only 4 here. The first one is that, on the one hand, there is this very important thing in all smart city discourses and practices of talking about participation and citizens' participations and how technology enhances that. For instance, Guayard in his book says that the smart self-sufficient city will bring more control of citizens over their own life. And it's a very powerful discourse. But when we analyze the strategies, we don't see citizens in these strategies. Or on the one hand, they are completely absent, and it's just basically a top-down, business as usual urban strategy, or is ill-defined. When they mean citizens, they might mean users or developers or other things, which make us to think, okay, yes, smart city, yes. From whose city? From whom? By whom? Which brings us to the second contradiction, that yes, we believe that in some respects, the smart city is a new thing. It's a new ontology of how cities should organize and be managed. It's not only about a new layer of technology in the city, but by transforming socio-environmental problems into essentially engineering problems to be solved using empirically generated quantitative data, it depoliticizes the making of urban life. In other words, technology is not neutral, nor negative nor positive. It depends on social relations. And urban problems are not technological or technical. Urban problems are usually social problems. And there are conflicts between groups and social groups and different economic, social, and cultural interests. Therefore, by transforming social, cultural, economic, and in some political problems into technological, we don't solve the problem. We just only move the problem one step further. Then we think that there is an urgent need of repoliticizing the city, meaning meaning that taking into account this conflict and power structures. Third, there is a very strong idea within the Barcelona self-sufficient city that we like very much, that is bringing knowledge and nature, both things, at the core of urban life. It's not that there is the urban and there is nature. There is no dualism. Nature is in the city, and the city is in nature. And we reimagine this relationship through a knowledge-based urbanism. I mean, with all the powerful of technology and the human brain. Yet, our research that, for instance, with colleagues in Manchester, we published as well last year, we find that when studying technological districts or knowledge-based strategies, the most important thing is not technology or talent, but things that might not be very technological, like land rents. Or, as Widuk has presented before, sometimes it's not about the most trendy, catchy technology, but the most important thing to understand how to solve and how to be, if you want, smart, is the importance of not so smart urban infrastructure. Last but not least, we find a very interesting thing, that when smart solutions are designed in Barcelona and elsewhere, they don't look just to the local, they look to the global, to be transferable, scalable everywhere from New York to Mumbai to Antarctica to the jungle. But when you look at how this is transported and mobilized, you find that usually they fail. Why? Because they are geographical solutions. They don't take in account how different contexts work and different problems. Basically, they don't take in account the geographies and geometries of power and smart city production. Then, just to finish, as a sort of conclusions, we have these 4 contradictions, and then we have these 4 issues. We want to know whose city, for whom and why. We need, in order to make this question, we'll bring you the necessity of repoliticizing the city and the right of the city, taking into account not only the smart and trendiest technology, but as well the not so smart, and taking as a context the geographies and geometries of powers. And I will end up with two questions. The first one is how then we can manage these contradictions. We don't have a complete answer, obviously, of that. And the second question, can we think in forms, therefore, of democratic control over the production of knowledge and of managing and organizing urban technological infrastructure for the many and not the few. Well, we don't have a definite, we have the questions, we don't have the answers, but one of the things that we are working is precisely looking at that. And as I said at the beginning, I was starting in 1936 and I'm coming back to 36, not because I don't, we want the scenario of 1936, but as the paper of Hugo and Santi and David show, we can learn a lot from the past. Thank you very much.